Hello, everybody. First, I want to tell you that I've got some good news and some bad news. The bad news is the end is near. Alright, now, this first map here that I'm showing you is from a woman called Lori Toy. She claims to have received the information from so-called ascended beings, what I would call angels. I'm not stealing this picture. I am giving her full credit, and I am not breaking any copyright laws because she said on Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell that she wants to give this information out free of charge. You can buy some really nice door-size maps from her website, iamerica.com. But like I said, she wants to get this information out to warn people. She's not just trying to make money, but it does cost her a lot of money to make the maps and ship them out. That's why she charges for them. Now that said, this map shows what the US of A will look like after the impending major earth changes are complete. She was told, she was given this information by the angels, but she was not told when this would happen. The good thing is she was given a progression of changes in images as follows. In the first picture, we see that the Mississippi widens. Now let's take a break here and look at the major rivers of the U.S. Please take note that there are 4 rivers that flow into the Mississippi. You've got the Missouri, the Illinois, the Wabash, and the Ohio, and the Tennessee. Actually, that's 5. That's 5 rivers. And they all flow into the Mississippi right at the same area, which is called the New Madrid Fault. Okay, back to the Lori Toy progression maps. In the second map, we see that the Mississippi reverses directions as seawater flows in all the way up to the Missouri River, all the way up the Wabash River. And the interesting thing is a new fissure seems to be created. In the third map, rivers widen even more, and a Pacific coastal inundation as well as an Atlantic coastal inundation seems to begin. In the fourth map, rivers widen even more, and there's increased inundation of both coasts. By the time we get to the fifth map, the U.S. is hardly recognizable, as the new fissure seems to widen even more, and the inundation of the West is complete, all the way to Colorado. Also, please take note that Lake Michigan disappears. Florida is almost completely underwater, and new land appears where Baja California used to be. Now, this new land does not appear on her other map, but anyways, pretty scary stuff, huh? I know what you're thinking. That couldn't happen. She's just a fearmonger. She's just trying to make money. Well, I thought so too. Until I learned about Michael Scallion's map. Independently and without knowing each other, Both Lori Toy and Michael Scallion came up with very similar maps. Here's Michael Scallion's map. I personally like Michael Scallion's map better because it shows that the powers that be, which will be in their dens in the mountains of Denver, will most likely be underwater. Note that in the Lori Toy map, Denver is not underwater. Now let's put the maps together and compare. Skeptics can claim that there is a discrepancy in the maps. For instance, in the Lori Toy map, Denver seems to be untouched, while in the Scallion map, Denver is decimated. Also in the Lori Toy map, Lake Michigan is gone, while in the Scallion map, it remains. I personally don't think that the discrepancy is cause for discounting the visions. First of all, the discrepancy may be chalked up to human error, not angelic error. It's not like the angels handed Lori and Michael maps. They were given visions. They had to remember their vision and make maps based on memory. There's a lot of room for error in the human brain unless one has a photographic memory, and neither of them claim to have that. Also, I suggest that Michael Scallion's map shows what the worst part of the Earth changes will bring, while Lori's map is after the water has receded from tsunamis, earthquakes, sinkholes, and what have you. When you compare their maps of the whole world after the changes, they are remarkably similar. For instance, both show that Western Europe will be completely underwater. Both show that most, if not all of China will be underwater. Both show new land popping up off the western coast of South America, and both show new land popping up off the eastern coast of Australia. Finally, both show that some new land appears between the southern tip of South America and Antarctica. Amazing coincidences, don't you think? But are you still not convinced? If you are still not convinced, how about if I bring Major Ed Dames into the mix? For those of you who don't know, Major Ed Dames was in the military and worked in military intelligence by using remote viewing to spy on enemies' facilities and operations. People, remote viewing works. It is very accurate, except for the fact that Ed Dames' team has yet been able to pin down exact timing of things. They can get things in the correct order of happening, but they cannot predict exact times. By the way, Ed Dames does not predict the end of the world for all, just for some. I think he's right. I have done some of my own remote viewing, and I know from experience that it works. So, I was listening to a recent broadcast of Coast to Coast AM, and Ed Dames was the guest. He said that after the recent Japanese 9.0 earthquake, he wanted to remote view when the next big quake would be, with thousands, possibly tens of thousands of deaths involved. He claims that it will happen in the U.S. Where, you ask? Well, he says it will be at the New Madrid fault, and St. Louis will be almost completely destroyed. For my Mormon viewers, I have placed a white cross where Jackson County, Missouri is. Looks like Adam on Diamond is going to be history, and you'll have to look for a new place to build your new Jerusalem. I'm not being funny or sarcastic. I'm being completely honest and truthful. I know that sometimes the truth hurts, but we all have to find a way to deal with that in our own ways. By this picture, I would understand that the new Madrid Fault is right under I-55 in Missouri. Youch! When that baby goes, a lot of commuters are going to die. It would seem that Ed Dames' remote viewing is in line with Lori Torrey's first map. If you recall, her first map showed the widening of the Mississippi River all the way up to the Missouri River. It doesn't take a geologist to realize that anyone who is near those two rivers are going to be in big trouble. I believe I recently heard that someone had a vision of the Mississippi River going the opposite direction. Well, yeah, let me explain how this is going to go down. First, you need to understand that the Earth is expanding. Please see my videos on 2012 for more information. Secondly, you need to understand that most major rivers of the U.S. lie on fault lines. I contend that the new Madrid Fault goes all the way down the Mississippi to the Gulf Coast and up the Wabash Fault all the way to the Hudson River and out to sea. When the fault opens up as the Earth expands, it will let the seawater in. Now, I'm from Utah, and I thought that there's no way that Utah would go underwater. It's too high. Well, I got this map. It's a geological map of the U.S., and I guess Utah's not as high as I thought. The yellow parts are the lowest elevations. Here we can see it would be easy for a tsunami of great enough magnitude to flow around and past the Sierra Nevadas, all through the Great Basin and into Utah, where Lake Bonneville used to be, indicated by the black line I've drawn. Here, let me color that in for you. Starting to look plausible. Now let me color in all the yellow regions that are not connected to the coast. And after the water recedes, I've taken the liberty to place some X's on some spots that you may appreciate. Well, the white cross is at Provo, Utah, and Salt Lake City is just above that. The red cross is at St. Louis, which Ed Dame says will be the next disaster area due to earthquake activity on this planet. The orange cross is at Jackson County, Missouri, right on the new Madrid fault line, which is marked with a light green line. Finally, the yellow cross is at Guy, Arkansas, which has been in the news recently for what's called swarms of earthquakes every day for the past 4 months or so. Seems to me that something is getting ready to happen. For my Utah viewers, everything west of the Wasatch Range will be underwater eventually, and if Toy and Scallion are correct. Here I've obtained a map that combines 3 maps into one. You've got Lori Toy's map, Michael Scallion's map, and Goodman's map. I'm not familiar with Goodman's map. I've marked Lori Toy's map in blue, Michael Scallion's map in red. Yes, there are differences, but they've both got the same basic idea, don't they? Well, after all this gloom and doom, there is some good news. The end of taxes is near.